December 20th, 1943. A young American pilot named Charlie Brown was flying a funeral dirge. His B-17, the old pub, was a wreck, his crew bleeding, his war surely over. And hovering just off his wing was a German ace, one squeeze of the trigger away from an easy victory. But in that moment, above the frozen peaks of Germany, two enemies were about to discover a truth that transcended war. This is the story of a 40-year search, and the day a soldier chose humanity over orders. Franz Stigler was an ace, one victory away from the Knight's Cross, one of Germany's highest military honors. But, as he flew closer to the shattered bomber, he didn't see an enemy. He saw a mirror of his own humanity. Through the gaping holes in the fuselage, he could see the wounded crew, the dead tail gunner. He remembered the words of his old commander. "You are fighter pilots first, not murderers. If I ever see you shooting a man in a parachute, I will shoot you down myself. To fire now would be murder." So, he made a choice that could have cost him his own life. Instead of firing, Stigler pulled alongside Brown's cockpit. He looked the terrified young pilot in the eyes and made a series of desperate hand gestures. He pointed down towards the ground, trying to signal for them to land. When Brown didn't understand, he tried again, pointing towards neutral Sweden. But Brown was too stunned, too exhausted to comprehend. He just waited for the end. Realizing the American crew was lost, Stigler positioned his own plane to shield the crippled bomber, escorting them past German anti-aircraft guns along the coast. He became their guardian angel. Once they reached the safety of the North Sea, Stigler gave a final salute and turned back, disappearing into the clouds. For Charlie Brown, the war ended, but the mystery did not. After a harrowing crash landing back in England, he told his commanding officer what had happened. He was ordered to never speak of it again. The idea of a German pilot showing such compassion was considered too damaging for wartime morale. The incident was officially buried. But for 40 years, the question gnawed at him. Who was that German pilot? And why did he spare them? The question became an obsession. A personal mission to find a ghost from the most harrowing day of his life, not to settle a score, but simply to say thank you. Across the ocean, Franz Stigler had moved to Canada after the war, building a new life as a successful businessman. He never spoke of the incident to anyone, carrying the secret as a private, sacred memory, a moment when he chose his conscience over his orders. Two men, living separate lives on the same continent, connected by a secret only they shared. Then, in the 1980s, everything changed. While attending a veterans reunion, Charlie shared his story. A fellow pilot suggested he place an ad in a newsletter for a German Fighter Pilots Association. Hesitantly, Brown sent out a small notice, seeking the German pilot who saved my crew on December 20, 1943, near Bremen. Months later, a letter arrived at Brown's home. His hands trembled as he opened it. The letter was from Franz Stigler. "I was the one," it read. The impossible had happened. A single letter crossed an ocean and bridged a 40-year silence. They arranged a phone call. The first words exchanged were heavy with a lifetime of unspoken questions. "Franz, is it really you?" Charlie asked. "Yes," Stigler replied. "I wanted to make sure you made it home." In that phone call, filled with emotion, the ghost became a man. The enemy became a friend. All that remained was one final, face-to-face meeting. When they finally met at an airport, there were no words adequate for the moment. The two elderly men, a former American bomber pilot and a former German fighter ace, saw each other across the lobby. They didn't shake hands, they embraced, clinging to each other as decades of unspoken gratitude and shared trauma poured out in silent tears. The man who had been a spectral enemy for 4 decades was now family. They discovered they lived only a few hours apart. For the rest of their lives, Charlie Brown and Franz Stigler were inseparable. They went on fishing trips, their families became close, and they traveled to schools to share their incredible story. They were a living testament to the idea that mercy is a force more powerful than war. Charlie Brown and Franz Stigler passed away just months apart from each other in 2008. They are gone now. But their story endures. It reminds us that even in our darkest hours, in the heart of conflict, the choice to see the humanity in your enemy can create a bond that outlasts nations, outlasts war, and outlasts time itself. It is the story of the enemy who became a brother. Thanks for watching. If this story moved you, please consider liking this video and subscribing for more stories that matter.